The desperate search for meaning through words. What are you searching for in words? A meaning, an answer, perhaps even an escape. But words are merely the reflection of an anxious mind, trying to understand what cannot be understood. They are attempts to tame the uncontrollable flow of life, to give it form. But life does not allow itself to be molded so easily. Life is a mystery. It does not need a justification. It does not need to be understood. It needs to be lived. Have you ever caught yourself trying to understand things? Trying to put a name to what you feel? Trying to find explanations for what slips through your fingers? This desire to understand, to rationalize the experience, is a way of avoiding uncertainty, of controlling chaos. But in doing so, you distance yourself from the pure experience. You distance yourself from what is happening right now, at this very moment. Alan Watts speaks of this with clarity. There is no way to capture life with words. You can talk about it, describe every detail, but the life you're trying to describe keeps flowing, escaping from your understanding, like a river that slips away from your comprehension. And what do you do when you lose yourself in that flow? You try to pull it back, you try to make it fit your ideas of what life should be, but life does not fit into anything. It simply is. And while you're busy trying to understand, it's happening. The excess of rationalization as an escape. The human mind is fascinating. It seeks patterns, explanations, justifications. It has an insatiable need to understand, but in doing so, you lose contact with the actual experience. The experience does not lie in the words you use to describe it. The experience lies in the moment you are living. Are you living? Or are you just describing life? Are you present? Or are you just trying to understand what is happening? Rationalization is a form of escape. Escape from uncertainty, escape from emptiness, escape from direct experience, which is often uncomfortable, unpredictable, chaotic. But it is precisely there, in that chaos, that life reveals itself. The mind tries to avoid the discomfort of uncertainty, doubt, lack of control, and to do so, it creates explanations, theories, concepts. It tries to freeze reality so it can be understood and manipulated. But life cannot be manipulated. It does not allow itself to be controlled. Maybe, if you stop for a moment and look within yourself, you'll realize that, on many occasions, you've tried to understand everything. You've tried to explain situations, emotions, events in your life, as if, by finding an explanation, you could control what happens. But life does not fit into explanations. It is something to be lived, not understood. And in trying to capture it, you distance yourself from it. You lose yourself in the words, the formulas, the ideas, and forget to live. Real example, the search for formulas. Many people, when faced with the existential void, begin searching for formulas and ready-made answers. They read books, watch lectures, listen to gurus and philosophers. They search for explanations that, in some way, might fill the inner void. But what they do not realize is that, by searching for these answers, they are only creating more distance. They are moving further away from the simplest truth of all. Life does not need to be explained. It needs to be felt, and to feel it, no words are necessary. Imagine a moment in your life when you weren't concerned with understanding what was happening. Maybe it was when you got lost in nature, or in an embrace, or when you looked at the sky. What did you feel in that moment? You felt life pure, without words, without explanations. That is the moment you connect with the real. And when you connect with the real, you do not need explanations. You simply are. Philosophical reflection, the fluidity of life. Alan Watts used the metaphor of water to explain how we should live. Water flows. It does not try to control itself. It does not search for meaning, nor a reason to exist. It simply flows. And we, human beings, are like water. When we try to control the flow of life, when we try to place life into a rational box, we distance ourselves from our essential nature. We try to be something we are not. Life is not something that can be explained. It is something that must be lived, experienced, felt. When you stop trying to control it, when you stop trying to understand it, it begins to reveal itself to you in a deeper way. You start to realize that there is no need for answers. The answers naturally emerge when you are fully present in the moment, and the moment itself is the answer. How the control of the mind sabotages the freedom of experience. You control your mind, but the mind also controls you, and that is where the paradox lies. The mind wants to control everything. It wants to anticipate everything. It wants an explanation for everything. It seeks the future, what has not yet happened, as if it were a safe place where everything has already been solved. But the future does not exist. What exists is now. And when you live like this, lost in the game of control, you lose the present. The human mind is designed to seek patterns and predictability. It does not like the unknown, the uncertain, and so it tries to anticipate the future, plan every step, control every movement. But what happens when you live this way? You stop living. You live in the future. in a place that has not yet arrived, and the present slips away from your fingers. When you try to control what is happening now, you lose yourself in the process. You no longer feel life, you only analyze it. You become a distant observer, someone who is watching life pass by, but not participating in it. You cease to be the dance and become merely a spectator. And the dance of life does not happen like this. It happens when you are in the flow, when you surrender to the movement, when you do not try to control the rhythm, but follow it. The path to freedom, letting go of rational meaning. Freedom, then, is not found in control. It is found in surrender. It is found in letting go of rational meaning. When you abandon the need to explain everything, you are freed. And in surrendering, you become more present. You stop fighting against what is and begin to live what is. You begin to realize that life is not something to be solved, but something to be lived, and in living you find more freedom than you ever imagined. Alan Watts teaches us to let go of the need to understand, to control. He invites us to simply be. Life, as he says, is not a problem to be solved, but an experience to be lived. And when you allow life to flow without the pressure of understanding or controlling it, it begins to reveal itself to you in unexpected ways. Letting go of rational understanding is the key to freedom. When you detach from the need to explain, you become part of the flow of life. You begin to dance with existence, without the need to understand every movement. And when you surrender to that dance, you find true freedom. Not the freedom to control what happens, but the freedom to simply be. Silence as the answer. How acceptance transforms our perception of reality. Silence is the key to acceptance. And in silence, true wisdom emerges. Often, words and explanations try to fill the empty space of life, but silence needs no words. It is enough in itself, and in silence you find the answer that the mind cannot understand. The power of silence is profound. When you accept what is, without the need for justifications or explanations, you open yourself to a new way of perceiving reality. You begin to see the world differently, without the constant interference of the mind, and in that space, the answers do not come from the outside. They come from within, and you begin to realize that what you were always searching for was already there. In the silence, in the acceptance of the present moment, the dance of existence, the constant movement between being and non-being. Life is a constant dance between being and non-being, between existence and absence. And just like water flows endlessly, we too flow. We try to control this dance, but it does not allow itself to be controlled. Life is not a fixed state. It is a movement, and when we try to freeze it, to lock it into place, it slips away. But when we surrender to the dance, when we allow ourselves to be the movement, we find true freedom. Every moment of life is an opportunity to dance. There is no need to understand every step, to calculate every movement. The dance happens when you surrender to the rhythm, to the flow, to the constant movement between being and non-being. Life, then, is not something to be solved. It is an experience to be lived, a dance to be danced. Life does not need explanations. In the end, life does not need explanations. It needs to be lived. It does not need to be controlled or understood. It needs to be felt. And when you finally let go of the need to understand, you surrender to the experience. And in surrendering to the experience, you meet life in its purest form. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all. Life happens when you stop trying to understand, when you stop searching for explanations and begin living without restraints. The answer then is simple: live. And by living, you will find what you have always been searching for.